It's Monday, the 6th of May, and the time is 7:41 p.m. My name is Dingane, and I think I finally figured it out. I've been racking my brain trying to remember everything that happened that night I went to the warehouse. Which, to be fair, was very stressful and traumatic, and those are usually the memories that do an Olympic swan dive out of my head. This is an excerpt from a diary entry by my grandfather, Vusmuzi Lutuli, on the 17th of July, 1987. Our intention was to escort Amahle to my home, as my domain would be the safest place to treat her. It seemed, however, that the possessor had other plans. When we left the woman's house, her face began to sallow, and the skin of her arms blackened along the veins. The further away we brought her, the worse her condition became, and so we were forced to turn tail and reconsider our options. This, especially after its resistance to the diviner's mixture of herbs and tears, made the possessor unlike any I had seen in my time. Still, all we could do was rely on our teachings. Amahle agreed to my tying her up to a chair in the sitting room, given that there weren't enough hands to hold her if and when it became necessary. Her fear was palpable as I fastened the final knot, and the diviner began to hum and dance, calling on Amahle's ancestors to lend her their strength. I tried to reassure her of her own strength in coming to us, in facing the terror of losing time, self, and sanity, and holding fast to the will to seek help. I could only hope that my words had effect, as that is when her body began to shudder, and tears flowed from her eyes as she began to scream. The sound was barely human, a hoarse shriek of otherworldly rage that felt like jagged glass to the ears. I grit my teeth against the pain and reached for a shallow dish of water I had prepared, holding it up near her face to catch her reflection, and ensuring it was in her line of sight. The diviner's humming had turned to melodic shouting at this point, rising above the volume of the cry, pleas to the ancestors and commands to the possessor made in the same breath. It was 10 minutes of this, of Amahle writhing against her ties and screaming between gasps, of us keeping to our roles despite it, until I finally saw what I was looking for. In the water, rippling slightly from the tension of my grasp, Amahle's reflection began to shift. Her form darkened, turning black like smoke, except for her face. It turned, instead, into a bone-white circle, with only the suggestion of features. I waited until the image was fully formed, and struck my left hand into the water, wrapping my fingers about where the neck would be. With equal speed, I pulled my hand out of the dish, and felt the cold, shifting touch of the possessor in my grasp as I forced it to take form. Humanoid, though smaller and much lighter than myself, and fluid, unlike so many of the dark creatures I have faced. I whispered a word of power and clenched my fist, intending to dispel it, and it slipped through my grasp. I reached after it, stunned as it flowed through the air and squeezed out of a crack in the window. Then I realized my amulet was still cold against my wrist. A novice mistake, born of haste or perhaps my aging mind. Amahle is at least free of the dark creature that tormented her for weeks, and can be protected with the diviner's help should the thing return to her home. But the possessor is out there, free to seek out another host to take hold of. Who knows if I'll be able to find it in time again? The blade, these tools that I've inherited. The first time I used them, when I took the vow, I had to clean them with the grave water. Maybe they get dirty when you use them, spiritually polluted somehow. Or maybe they only have so much use, until you have to ask for another blessing from whatever being you're connected to. So, I'm going to give it a shot and cleanse them again. Ideally, the worst case scenario is the tools are a little wet and nothing happens. But I'm going to make a whole to-do about this. If this you who wakes the hidden is anything like I've heard ancestors described, they could get pretty upset if I don't follow the particulars of ceremony. I'm not super sure what ceremony there is to follow in this case, so I'm improvising and hoping for the best. I did check in with my mother to ask what's typical of showing respect and reverence to ancestors, and she described having a place in your kitchen hut that's demarcated specifically for them. It's only to be approached while crouching or kneeling, and never to be stepped onto or into. You're also supposed to light some incense when you're communicating with them. I don't have incense, but I do have a fresh linen-scented candle, which I've lit and placed on the bottom section of my tall, narrow bookshelf. I'm also putting the knife and the bottle of grave water there when they're not in use. So, that's that for setup. Now all that's left is... Wena uvusokufihliwe, I call on you and ask that you bless these tools so I may continue your work. I can feel it. The knife, the bracelet, there's a slight warmth to them now. Okay. We're gonna try this again. But starting smaller this time. In theory, this was supposed to be a really cool moment where I went outside, turned a corner, and found a monster ready for slaying. But I've been wandering for an hour now and nothing. It's already evening, which... I mean, that one water spirit attacked me a little before sundown, but I figured the closer to nighttime it was, the more likely I was to find a dark creature. Darkness and crawling shadows and all that. Maybe they just don't like the northern suburbs?
Silly child.
Oi!
Your eyes are of this world, and the creatures you seek are not.
Are you the one I made a vow to? Is that all you're going to say? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be disrespectful, it's just... I really haven't had an easy start with all this witch hunting stuff, and I would really appreciate it if I could get a little help.
The witch holds the gift. The hand carries the burden.
The hand? You said that like you don't mean the thing at the end of my arm. Is that what I am now? Okay, it's not meant to be a walk in the park, but that's fine, because I'm pretty smart and riddles are super easy. Your eyes are of this world, and the creatures you seek are not. So, it's not enough to be blessed. I have to use it somehow. To sense the dark creatures beyond the physical. I know the feeling of the energy they give off. If I can focus on that, that felt like something. Oh. Yay, come back here. Nowhere to run now. Actually, up close, you're kind of ugly in a cute way. Too bad you run around attacking and killing people. I think it's working. The clenching, it's pulling back a bit more. Alright, on to the next one. Call to the Dark, created by Sandile Dlamini. Featuring Dingane, voiced by Sandile Dlamini, and The Unknown Voice, voiced by Fadzai Simango. To keep up with the show, visit @CallDarkPod on social media or email calldarkpod@gmail.com. You can also support the show on Ko-fi by going to ko-fi.com/calldarkpod.